Welcome everyone to the Popcorn Time podcast. This is episode 3 of the talk show slash podcast, and today we've got a very interesting topic. So today's topic is about opinions, right? So let's be more specific here and talk about the validity of an opinion. So can an opinion be right or wrong? And does context matter in an opinion, or is everyone's opinion held to the same standard? We're going to be talking about that right now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then hello, probably see my face. If you're listening to Spotify or any other platform which is available, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, the podcast is available on those platforms, and you're essentially getting the same experience as you would anywhere else. I try to keep everything the same. Now, before we get started, I want to my heartfelt condolences go to Reckful, Byron Bernstein, otherwise known as Reckful, the streamer. He has unfortunately passed away last night. I personally I wasn't a huge fan of him. I mean, I used to watch his YouTube videos before I came to Twitch, and I saw his Dr. K video, and that was really, my heartfelt condolences go to his family. He seemed to be such an incredible person. All right, let's begin. Rest in peace, Reckful. All right. Let's begin, guys. So, opinions. Can they be right or wrong? So, first of all, I did write a quote by Leonardo da Vinci. So, I'm going to say it right now. So, he once said, "The greatest deception men suffer is their own opinions." All right, so let that sink in a bit and think about what that means. So the question, we're going to start with the essential question, right? Can an opinion be right or wrong? Well, we've grown up to learning in the English language or any other language, and we're usually taught that an opinion cannot be wrong. That's all we're taught. We're not taught any other thing. An opinion cannot be wrong, whereas you usually hear something along the lines of an opinion cannot be wrong, whereas a fact is a fact, it's right, but an opinion cannot be proven right or wrong, and nothing else is said. I'm here to sort of add to that and maybe debunk some of the misconceptions people have about opinions. Now, I'm not an expert myself, but I was reading about this the other day, and I found it really interesting. If you guys have anything to add, you can on Twitch chat, you can put anything, and I'll discuss it with you guys. So let's begin. An opinion, it cannot be wrong. Yeah, that's right. As we said, it cannot be proven wrong, but an opinion is based on an assertion, right? So let's open Paint. Here, I really want to all right, so let's see, we've got the opinion, we've got an opinion, and then we've got two types of those opinions. So we've got emotional opinions, or opinions based on subjective feelings and experiences of a human being. And we've got logical, factual, or opinions based on facts. Now, both of these things are assertions. So let's say, for example, you have any opinion or something, it's going to be based on something. Now, that something can be based on an experience or a perception of something through the five senses or through rational thought. So that's what we call subjectivity. Whereas objectivity or facts, these are things that we have proven using experimental data or measurable real data. And similarly, yes, we did use our senses, but we used scientific data and experimental measurable data points to conclude that this is indeed true. Right? There are facts in this world, and there are subjective feelings and thoughts and stuff. So an opinion can be based on one of those two. So it branches, as you see here on this diagram. Now, what does that mean? So if an opinion is emotional, right, does it mean it's always going to be wrong? Not necessarily, no. If an opinion is based on fact, is it going to be always right? Hell no. It's not always the case that it's not like an absolute thing, right? So, but first we got to tackle one big thing, right? This is the thing I really want to focus on. We're going to start off with the assertion, right? The assertion, for an opinion to be valid by default, the assertion or what it is based on has to be valid in and of itself. So I don't know why I can't think of an example of an opinion, but like if you think about, for let's say you say like I like bananas, right? I like bananas. Okay. Let's put that opinion. I like bananas. Right? Your friend might not like bananas. It's not a fact, it's an opinion. I like bananas. What is this based on? Right? What is the assertion? The assertion in this case would be your subjective experience towards bananas. So maybe you like how they look. Maybe you like the taste, using your tongue, taste, right? Maybe heck, you could even like it because it's nutritional. So there is some overlap actually between those two. I just found that out. Interesting. If anyone has anything to say or add, or by all means go ahead, because I'm not like an expert here. I'm just trying to make sense of what I found on the internet and like stuff. So, and like I read about it. So yeah, so there is some overlap between the two. But usually they will fall into one of these two distinct categories. Now in our case, let's assume that our average Joe doesn't really know much about the nutritional value of a banana. He probably only knows about its emotional, or he probably has experience with it. So like it tastes good, it looks good, etc. Alright, so does that mean his opinion is wrong? Does that mean the opinion itself, is it right or wrong? Does it? Is it wrong? So what do you guys think, chat? What do you think? Would it be wrong? I don't think so, right? In this case, actually, the opinion is simply a fact. Not a fact, it is based on a fact, like the fact which is the assertion that the average Joe did experience the emotional experiences, and he did conclude that I do like bananas, and now he's stating it. So it is based on a fact. Now, in this case, actually, the opinion actually needs to align with the intent. Otherwise, it can be falsifiable. It can be proved false. So if the opinion is, yeah, as I said, I like bananas. If that opinion somehow does not align with the person's interests, whoever is saying it, or voicing it, or texting, or whatever, then that opinion can be proven wrong. Because remember, opinions are simply personal things. Even if they're based on facts, at the end, they're personal. Now, so as we said, an opinion cannot be wrong, but the assertion it is based on can be right or wrong. So this is a case of subjective versus objective. And when we look at like this example and many other examples, we see that usually there is some overlap. And again, similarly, right, an opinion can be based on fiction. I forgot to add that, so I'm gonna slash fiction, right? So it can be based on fictional things. An opinion can be based on anything, really. But what we're trying to focus on here is the assertion. We need to, since we cannot really prove an opinion right or wrong, we can go to the next best thing, which is look at what it is based on. So, that being said, let's talk more about how to debate with someone who holds like a strong opinion or prove the validity of an opinion or lack thereof. So the validity of an opinion depends on three factors. Depends on the assertion, obviously, upon which it is based, and the expertise of whoever is saying that opinion. So for example, if a doctor says an opinion and he has like a PhD or whatever, went to medical school, that stuff, he probably is right. Expertise can play a major role in the validity of an opinion. Not only like in terms of the perceived social value said expert might have, but the actual like knowledge and experience they went through. And third of all, obviously it depends on the sanity and rationale of the person. So if the person is fully aware of what they're saying and they're using their faculties of reason and their thoughts, then their opinion is like, that's the prerequisite, right? That's why we don't, it's like children, right? We don't necessarily, children might have insane things to talk about, but they're not necessarily true. They might have strong opinions, but they can easily be tackled. I don't want to say proven false because, as we said, we cannot prove an opinion false. But what I mean by can opinions be right or wrong, I'm really asking the question, does the opinion have a strong base, right? So does it have like a strong foundation? And that foundation, as we said, it's the assertion. So we have a lot of like people, they talk about like, oh, the earth is flat, right? Let's talk about that. So opinion 2, right? Let's see. Opinion 2. I believe that the earth is flat. Right? So I believe that the earth is flat. Or okay, let's make something that's related to me as a streamer. Option 3, I believe that video games kill people. Right, let's do option 3 first because I feel like that's I know like these are in like absurd examples. Most people would say something more nuanced like video games cause violence, but it's the same thing really. So I believe that video games kill people. Or you know what, I'll make it even better. Kill all people. Right. So right off the bat, we can assume that this opinion is based on emotional opinions. Or it's an emotional opinion. It is subjective. It's not factual because there are no known scientific studies that have shown that video games kill people or cause violence. You know what, let me change that. Can I change? Oh, I can't paint. So video games cause violence / kill all people, right? Obviously, there are no scientific studies that prove that, so it is not based on facts. Even the ones that were put out, they were proven wrong over and over again. So we focus at the current scientific studies. As of now, this is false. And from observational data and logic, you can tell that this is false, but I want to elaborate further on that. So I believe that video games cause violence. It is subjective. Now, it's not necessarily wrong right off the bat, but we're going to have to look at the assertion. So the assertion is that what is the assertion? You ask them, what is this opinion based on? And then they tell you, oh, it is based on this. My son was playing this game and that, and he became violent and whatnot. So I say, well, then I'd come forward and say, all right, your son went through a lot of crap, I guess, playing video games, but this is one example in a pool of millions, if not billions, of people who play video games, right? So she's using anecdotal evidence. Obviously, the solution would be maybe her son is not sane enough. Maybe her son needs therapy or something, right? If your son is causing violence because of video games, and we've proven that video games are not really violent, then we can probably say that there's another reason. And then we look at other samples and we see that the average Joe or the average gamer doesn't really engage in violence. So right off the bat, we can say that what this opinion is based on, there's no foundation. And if there's no foundation, right, the opinion just falls apart. They can keep believing that opinion, whatever. It does not matter. As long as their foundation is destroyed, their statements are weak and they hold no real merit or value. Do you get what I mean? I know it's very long-winded, but a lot of people, when they debate, they want to prove the person wrong. They want to prove their opinion wrong. No, you should destroy the foundation. Because if an opinion, you probably know in your mind that, oh, this is invalid, there's no way I'm going to disprove them. But no, you have to look at the assertion or the base, the foundation of the opinion. So, as we said, an emotional opinion is not necessarily wrong, right? We said that it can be right or wrong. And again, I'm going to keep on saying this over and over again. When I mean right or wrong, I don't mean oh, this opinion is proven false. No, I mean it just holds no value because its assertion is weak, right? So, that being said, let's talk about the subjective opinions or the emotional opinions. And I really want to sort of talk about this because I feel like it's important. So, especially nowadays in today's climate. So, recently, we've seen a lot of people, a lot of female Twitch streamers come forward because of acts of sexual misconduct being committed by other streamers. And that has had, it's been going on for a few days now, and let's talk about those, right? So for the most part, right, when someone commits a sexual harassment or something, usually, right, there is no third party that is watching, right? And most of the time, it is true. Half the time it's true, half the time it's not, and it carries with it a lot of emotional baggage. That's what I want to talk about. So, for example, things like those, right? They are, for example, if someone is a victim of sexual misconduct, usually they'd feel a lot of emotions and stuff, and they'd have a strong opinion, towards these people, and that's fine. In that case, because the opinion, okay, so the emotion in this case is probably anger or something. Yeah, it's anger or fear. And if the act was really committed, then it must be based on facts. I know that this type of crime, it's hard to really prove, but there are facts, right? There is a way to actually prove them, and I don't really know how, but there's witnesses, there's jury, a lot of law stuff, but the emotional opinion actually, in this case, has some overlap with facts. So it should carry some strength with it. The emotions in this case are not really relevant, They are relevant to the person, of course. They're not, like, the opinion is based on a strong factual base. So here, yes, I am arguing that an objective outlook might just even a slight amount. So like, say it's like a potion. You've got, let me draw like a box. You got like, let's say red is emotions. So this is, I'm going to call this the box of opinions, or opinion box. And then I'm going to color a bit. So let's say like this much of it is, I can't color. The red is basically the emotions, and the blue is all the facts. So you can see that the facts really, if the facts hold and they're strong and proven and whatnot, then the opinions don't really matter. The opinions are just what that person is experiencing, which is why I'm telling you that your emotions should not be a way to make your opinion valid, right? So this way we understand or appreciate that not all opinions are equal. A lot of people like to think, oh, I'm entitled to my own opinion. You are entitled to your own opinion, but your opinion might not be as good as about like some specific, let's say like it's about engineering, right? It might not be as good as the opinion that an engineer who has like a PhD and stuff, his opinion would probably hold more merit than yours. Now there are exceptions, obviously, but I'm talking about like the majority of cases. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, I would like to talk about, I've got only 2 more points. I mean, this is a very short episode. I'm not going to ramble on and on about like this or that. So let's go ahead and talk about the vagueness of an opinion, or the clarity of an opinion. So some opinions, like you hear like a lot of cloudy stuff, right? It's like, there's like a lot of vague opinions out there, right? I can't think of an example right now, which is ironic, right? Like, not ironic, it's like, it's interesting. It's like how the opinion is vague and I can't think, like my mind there's like brain fog. So I'm trying to think. Can you guys tell me like an example of a very vague opinion? I mean, we could use like, I believe that video games kill all people. No, actually, hold on. So like most opinions, right? Most opinions are like general statements. Does that make them vague? I don't think so. But let's say like an opinion is about vaccines, right? Let's assume that there are no case studies about, how vaccines are good and stuff. And let's assume that someone makes this statement that vaccines are bad, right? Opinion, vaccines are bad. So vaccines are bad. That is an opinion, indeed, but it's vague, right? An opinion needs to be specific. So in order to at least hold some validity before we assess how good it is based on the criteria we just mentioned, the assertion, the expertise, and the rationale. Though this is what I think makes up a good opinion. You gotta have a strong assertion, so mostly factually based with some emotions if needed, expertise in the field or some knowledge at least, and sanity, like being self-aware enough and rational enough, so most of us, I guess, to make the opinion. It's not, obviously this is the average like case. There are some exceptions where people who do not necessarily meet those criteria, or an opinion does not meet those criteria or one of those criteria, they might make a solid opinion. Again, there are exceptions to everything. This is not necessarily like a absolute thing. This is what I think makes up an opinion. So if an opinion is vague, it's not gonna the assertion, it's gonna have a really weak assertion, even if it's based on strong facts. Because that assertion, or the base, the base of the pyramid, it's not gonna support that vagueness. Usually, like, the opinion, if it's vague, like vaccines are bad, we're gonna have to prove that vaccines are absolutely bad for everyone, and that we're gonna have to look for how they affect health or social skills, everything. Right? It's a blanket statement, which makes it very vague. So again, if it's vague, it's gonna lose a lot of its value, right? So again, an opinion should not be that vague. All right. So I guess that's pretty much it. Pretty short episode, but I want to talk about one more thing. So, what if someone does not agree with your opinion? Or what if you fail to tackle their opinion? Now, I encourage honest, when you're debating someone, when you're arguing, the best dialogue is one where both sides, both parties are listening and empathizing. The fuck? Emphasizing. No. What was the? Yeah, empathy. Empathizing with others. Kind of lost my mind there. Ooh, way off track, bro. I think I'm high or something. Nah, I'm kidding. TOS. So, yeah. Let's talk about good dialogue. You gotta have, shoot, my mic just fell. Shoot. Okay, so, an opinion or good dialogue, right? You gotta be listening to the other side. Both sides have to listen. You should really be able to entertain a conflicting thought in order to really comprehend it and think about it. And same thing goes for the other party. They're supposed to go through the same process. And you can see, like, a lot of this type of dialogue, you can see it in action in a lot of podcasts, even, a lot of news shows or whatever. And you'll find that that type of dialogue usually results in the most favorable results. So, which is that, they come to a sort of compromise, or they don't no one changes their mind, but there's no hostility towards the other side, and there's, like, a lot of friendliness. And that's what I think is essential. That's what a lot of actually professional, talk shows and podcasts make use of. They encourage that type of dialogue because they don't want hostility in their shows. And I think, so obviously, like, in everyday conversations, we sort of throw that out of the window and we just insult people, we bash them, we're like, no, you idiot, no, that's not true, shut up. And nobody changes their mind, and everyone is mad and angry. And that's not very good, I guess. But so that's the best type of dialogue, I think, for a good discussion. I think that wraps it up for today's podcast. And thank you for whoever joined. Thank you for watching. Thank you for whoever's watching the replay on YouTube, listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And remember, I stream this on Twitch every Friday, and usually the replay will be available on Saturday. So, I guess that's it for the podcast. So if you guys came here for the podcast and you don't want to watch the normal stream, then you're welcome to leave. And thank you everyone for joining. And as always, stay positive.